Welcome to Seller Sessions. Writing solo. There you go. I think you guys lost me for a second, but I'm back. All right. So welcome to Seller Sessions. I hope that you're all having a great day. I'm writing solo today. I've just come back from holiday, literally got home like half an hour ago. I was supposed to have a guest on today. However, they have COVID. So we are writing solo. And at the last minute, I came up with today's session rather than canceling it. So we're going to start. I hope that you guys are all doing well. I do want to start with, first of all, sending my condolences and my love to anyone in Ukraine right now. My thoughts are with you. And second of all, today we're going to talk about the top mistakes that Amazon sellers are making in 2022. If you're watching this on live or on the channel, I have no idea why I look this bright. So I don't know what's going on, but I don't know how to change it. So it is what it is. All right. So I've made a list. I've printed it out, as you can see, of the top 10 mistakes that I see that sellers are making in 2022, whether you're a new seller or whether you are a seasoned seller. These are things that I am seeing because I have so much correspondence with different sellers. This is stuff that I'm seeing. So the first mistake that I see that sellers are making in 2022 is relying on 2017 information. So it's interesting. Sometimes I speak to sellers and I say, okay, well, where did you hear this? And I'll say, oh, I saw it in a YouTube video or whatever. And it's something from 3 or 4 years ago. When it comes to Amazon, things are changing all the time. And therefore, we have to make sure that we stay updated with updated information, whether it be from podcasts or whether it be from YouTube channels or just from groups. You need to make sure that what you're watching or what you're listening to is relevant to today, because a lot of things are no longer relevant as Amazon changes. So the first thing is that I have seen is definitely people who are relying on 2017 information. We've got Catherine. Hello. Hope you're feeling better, Catherine. The second mistake that I am seeing sellers are making in 2022 is they're not differentiating. So unless you are a really, really seasoned seller from, a long time ago and you got in you got in early and you have, you have a lot of money for marketing or contacts in Amazon or whatever it may be, selling Me Too products, like that time is over. We're no longer in 2016, 17, and differentiation today is something that is crucial. In my opinion, differentiation was always important, but definitely coming into 2022, this is a mistake that I'm seeing many people make, and changing a color of a product is not differentiating a product. So that's the second thing. The first thing I said that I'm seeing mistake that people are making is relying on old information. The second is not differentiating. The third mistake that I see that people are making, whether you're an older seller or a newer seller, this is something that I'm seeing a lot of people make, is not analyzing the entire market or competitors. So this is including also to see whether a competitor that you are, you consider to be a competitor, or that you're analyzing or looking at their information, whether they're a big brand or whether they exist off of Amazon. So there are many, many, many sellers who forget that, especially that live overseas, forget to go off Amazon and check the numbers that you're looking at from a specific competitor. Are they a well-known brand? Do they have a lot of a large following or whatever it may be off Amazon as well? Many times I'll have a conversation with a seller and they'll show me, this guy's doing really well. And I'm like, yeah, but they're a huge, huge, company off of Amazon as well. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is analyzing the entire market. I made a video on my YouTube channel and on Seller Sessions, I think it was, and a podcast about 2 weeks ago about tracking your market, how you can use different market tracking tools in order to track your market. Something very, very important. Things change in markets. The information that you may have been looking at, let's just say if you're looking into the gaming niche, okay, the numbers that you may have seen in December or whatever it may not be the same right now. They may not be relevant, or the competitor that you were looking at, something may have changed, or whatever it may be. You need to always stay updated and continuously track your market, because there's many things that can happen. And the second thing, on piggybacking off of that, of not analyzing your entire market, is a lot of the time someone will come and have a conversation with me and say, look, I'm not converting. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, suddenly my conversion's gone down, or something's happened, or whatever it may be. And then I ask, okay, has anything changed in your market? Okay, apart from the fact maybe something happened to your listing, you had a bad review or something like that, but has anything happened in your market? Have all of the competitors put their price down and you're the only one that's more expensive? Has one of the main competitors' reviews suddenly gone from 4 stars to 5 stars or to 4.5 stars? Did something happen in the market? Did a new competitor come in with the same type of offer that you have, and they're cheaper than you? Whatever it may be. Keeping on top of your market as a whole is something that is crucial. And in my opinion, even more in 2022. I mean, it's always crucial, but the reason it's even more important now is because of all the other stuff I'm going to talk about. So, all right. The next mistake that I see that that sellers are making this year, which in my opinion and experience is one that you just really can't make anymore, is not leaving yourself enough wiggle room for miscellaneous cost. So this last probably 2 years, anyone who's selling on Amazon, including myself, would have felt a lot of moments where you may have just wanted to give up, because it seems like every minute there's a new cost. So suppliers are putting their pricing up, and everything costs more, and shipping costs more, and we need 3PLs, and FBA fees are going up, and everything costs more. And therefore, it's very, 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 very important to make sure that you are leaving yourself enough wiggle room. And when I say wiggle room, if you don't understand what I mean by that, I mean leaving yourself enough room from your profits for any miscellaneous things that could go wrong. Maybe you had all of a sudden more returns than usual, or suddenly if PPC costs more, or something happens. It's important in 2022, probably more than ever, because there are so many random things that can go wrong and that can happen, especially when it comes to logistics and supply chain. Ari Fool said there are some decent eye openers. Thanks, Sharon. Thank you very, very much. Okay, that one was a really important one that I hope that you guys pay attention to. The fifth mistake that I see that sellers are doing in 2022, and honestly, this is something that always is important, whether it's 2022, 5 years ago, 5 years from now, it doesn't matter. A lot of people are just looking for the cheapest price of something rather than building relationships. So I wrote to myself, don't build relationships with your suppliers and service providers. When in need, a relationship built with a service provider and or supplier will help you. And I am speaking and saying this from experience. When you build a relationship with one of your suppliers or a service provider, so when I say service provider, it could even be the person that does your images, okay? And when I say supplier, I mean your manufacturer or your shipping agent or whatever it may be. Building relationships when it comes to business for the people that are helping you to, with your business, no matter what it is extremely, extremely important. And it's not necessarily, yes, it's important to make money and it's important to leave yourself profit room, like I just spoke about, wiggle room, etc. But building a relationship with a service provider / supplier will help you when shit goes wrong as well, because there's so much stuff that can happen. I've speaking from experience, I've had Rafael from Unicargo save me many times when I needed at the last minute to get something done that maybe If someone hadn't had that type of relationship with him, he would have maybe not gone that extra mile for them like he did for me. Or with my suppliers as well, I can tell you that just the other day I said, I need stock in ASAP. I really need you to bump my order up, please. And my supplier said, Sharon, I'm going to do everything I can. If this was someone who I haven't been working with, or if I was someone who's juggling between suppliers because all I'm trying to do is consistently bring my costs down or whatever it may be, like I wouldn't have that relationship with the supplier. So that is something that I think is really important, and including service providers as well. So maybe you'll find yourself 6 months down the track launching a product and I don't know, you need images urgently. And if you have built a relationship with your photographer, graphics designer, whatever it may be, and you reach out to them and say, hey, look, I know that you're really busy. I'd really appreciate if, possibly you could fit me in for this and this and this. If you've got that relationship, many times people will go the extra mile for you. And, my relationships has really, really saved my businesses in the last 2 years with everything that's been going on, specifically in the supply chain world. So that is something that I think is crucial. And I'm seeing all the time many sellers are just trying to, go like juggle their way around different service providers / suppliers in order to save costs. Instead, build that relationship with them. And then you also have you feel comfortable with coming and negotiating as well. The next thing that I see that Amazon sellers mistakes are making in 2022 is they don't know their numbers. And this is whether you're a seasoned seller or a newer seller. It could be that you're even an 8-figure seller. And I'm not kidding. I've spoken to some and they don't know their numbers. Like, how can you run a business without knowing your numbers? Okay. It's crucial to know your numbers. And when I say knowing your numbers, you mostly will probably have Excel sheets, and you need to know exactly what your COGS are, exactly what your fees are, every single thing that comes along the way for each product. You need to know the cost, and then overall the business costs as well. I'm lucky that that's not really my thing in the business. That's my husband's side of it. But I do know more or less the numbers that I need to know. The rest, he knows everything. So that's important. The next mistake that I am seeing Amazon sellers make is this is a crucial one specifically for 2022. Maybe it wasn't as important years ago, but very important today. Not knowing your product manufacturing process in order to then be able to optimize and make changes accordingly. So what do I mean by that? Back in the day, you could just... I'm holding a cup. For those that are listening to us on the podcast, you can't see. But let's just say you could find a cup, slap a logo on it. That's it. Send it into Amazon, not care too much about anything to do with the manufacturing process. Today, with specifically also manufacturing in China, but also with the cost of shipping, etc., knowing exactly how your product is made, the type of materials it's made out of, the components that it takes to put together in order to come up with your product, can help you at the end of the day to optimize your business and bring down costs. Maybe making your bottle, let's just say you sell a bottle, your bottle, 2 inches smaller, an inch smaller is going to help to fit 10, 20 more bottles into a master carton, and will also bring you down a tier on Amazon. Maybe if you change your material from structural plywood to composite wood, it'll bring your cost down by $10 a unit. Maybe if you changed it from, I don't know, silicone to resin. I don't know. I'm just making up examples. Okay, it could not impact the quality of the product, but bring your cost down significantly. Maybe if you were to, instead of making your product in China, make it in America, it may bring up your cost per unit on a manufacturing level and bring down the overall cost because of how much you save on shipping. Maybe, I don't know, I'm making up examples. But I feel like it is extremely, extremely crucial to know the manufacturing process of your product today more than ever because of how, messed up supply chain is today. And it's probably only going to get worse. And therefore, it can save you a lot of money and even make you a lot of money, save you and make you a lot of money because, sometimes it's simple and sometimes it takes a lot of communication, a lot of research, a lot of asking your supplier to even do a video call with them on WeChat and explain things to you, going on Google and learning about whatever it may be. Sometimes some of you may be able to even send over your products not packaged and then package them in America. And it could mean that you could stack a whole lot more units into a carton and bring down your cost significantly. So understanding how your product, the manufacturing process and the process it goes through from A to Z will then help you to be able to go in and see if anything there is that you can optimize in that process. The next mistake that I'm seeing that sellers are making is relying on review companies like AppSally and FBA reviews. I know quite a lot of people that used to use these types of services. I never ever talk about me on these types of things because you're putting yourself out publicly. But I do know a lot of people that used to use these types of services back in the day, and you got to stop. I got a message from a client the other day, that their product is being investigated. And it was past 30 days of being investigated. And that person had used a review company in the past, similar to AppSally and FBA reviews. And they were sitting there literally, really, really scared that Amazon was going to take down their 2-year-old listing with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reviews. This is a $40,000 or $50,000 a month product, just that product on its own. And they were scared, and they were sitting there scared because of this. And the thing is, if you haven't done anything, most of the time you're not scared because usually you'll be able to fix it. Now, they were lucky and ended up that they passed that investigation that Amazon did. But Amazon is doing a big sweep right now, and has been, and it does it every year. And also it does it in certain periods of the year as well. Don't use review companies. Don't use review companies. It's a lot easier, in my opinion and experience today, to get reviews. You have the Vine reviews, which now cost $200, that you should only use if you have a really, really good and high quality product, which you should. It's 2022. You should only be selling a product if it's really high quality and it's good. Vine reviewers, in my experience, are either the best reviewers in the world or the worst reviewers in the world, and there's no middle to that. They usually leave really long reviews with photos, sometimes even with videos. And they'll do that if the product is good, and they'll do that if the product is bad. So only use Vine reviews if you're 100%, confident in your product. There is obviously the request for review button. There are many other ways that you can also, get reviews that is legit. So definitely wouldn't do that. Muhammad asked, I'm just going to put it up. Sharon, what would you recommend in case of extremely low review velocity in some products, except from Vine program? It's a tough one without knowing the niche. The first thing I would also say, if you use a tool like Helium 10, you can see there is a chart there that shows you the history of the review count. And you can have that chart and compare it to the history of their estimated sales. And then you can also see what is more or less the average of the competitors in your niche, of what the average of their review rate is. So there are certain niches where it's a lot harder to get reviews, and there are certain niches where it's a lot easier to get reviews. And it's also, in my experience, very product dependent. If you have an amazing product that is really, really has a big impact on the buyer, and many times it's a lot easier Not always, just many times it's also a lot easier. So there are many ways apart from Vine reviews, obviously the request for a review button. You got to be careful today with insert cards. You can still ask for a review, but you can't say only if you're happy with the product or anything like that. Or if you're unhappy, contact us first or anything like that. Regarding QR codes and things like that, it's very debatable today. I see experts in our field arguing over this. So you can put a QR code and send them to a landing page of some sort, giving them something. And I don't mean giving them something for an exchange for a review. I don't mean that. I mean, for example, let's just say if you have an ebook or anything like that you're giving them, or let's just say if you have a product that comes with a free downloadable coloring book or something along those lines, and then when they download it, there could also be a code there that takes them somewhere else, that by the time Amazon would have lost it. They wouldn't even be able to tell that you have anything like that. I try not to talk about like black hat stuff here. I don't do anything black hat 99% of the time. So yeah. Niches, tools, and hardware products where blue collar workers tend not to leave reviews. Tools and hardware products. Okay, the niche is tools and hardware products where the workers tend not to leave reviews. I would see if there is something extra that you can possibly put in the product, if you could have an effect, like give them the wow effect somehow, where it will make them want to leave a review. Again, there's many different ways. I'd really like to see like the packaging or something along those lines to see where there's little things that you could put on there, and use certain type of wording that's okay on an Amazon level to try and, get them in somehow so that you can leave a review. And it's also very product dependent, because in some products, you're also able to get them over to your social media as well. And again, it's so product dependent. But the main thing is don't use review apps. I'm going to take a really quick drink of water. By the way, something I've also been doing probably for the last 1.5 to 2 years is getting into a lot of Facebook groups around my niche. So let's just say if you sell you specifically sell tools and hardware, but for me, two of my brands are cosmetics brands. So they're in the beauty niches. And I get into a whole lot of different beauty Facebook groups in America. And then I, put in many different posts or different comments, etc., different links to our products. And then if I also say, hey, have you guys been using this? Are you liking it, etc.? If they purchase it, I'll also ask them to leave a review. If you're able to sort of be active in communities like that, people are also, willing to help you. All right, moving on to the next. Mistakes that I'm seeing sellers make in 2022. Mistake number 9, not using influencers when you have a social media worthy product. Use them. The power today of social media and the power today of influencers is huge. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc. If you have a social media worthy product, then use influencers, work with influencers. On seller sessions, we've had many different people speaking about influencer marketing on my YouTube channel. We've also had on Gracie also speak about TikTok. Use them. They can really, really, really help to boost your products. There's many, many different things that you can also do with influencers as well. For example, collaborations. You can also make a limited edition. This is more for people who are building brands rather than just like typical Amazon sellers. But when I say building brands, is in there's always brand building in mind on an Amazon level and on an off Amazon level. You can also make limited editions things using influencers that you collaborate with as well. And a lot of people are like, oh, but it's, it's so out of reach. No, it's not. You just need to try. Just make it yourself an Excel sheet. Start reaching out to different types of influencers. When I say different types, they must be, in my experience and opinion, in your niche. So you're not going to reach out to a dog lover, influencer if you're selling a beauty product. Their following probably doesn't make sense for you, unless they, put a lot of beauty related content up as well. So find the right type of influencers, but use them. If your product is social media worthy, use them. You can sometimes find yourself selling out like in a day, and I'm not exaggerating. You can just watch or listen to on the Sell Sessions podcast or on my YouTube channel. You can just listen to even Gracie speaking about, she's got over 1 million followers on TikTok, how she's helped people to sell out of their product, within an hour or so from when she made a video that's gone viral about different products. And don't forget also Amazon Live. I made a video also with Gracie about a year ago, I think, on the Seller Sessions podcast about Amazon Live as well. So use influencers as well. Something that a lot of people aren't doing. A lot of people also aren't building up their social media for their brands. And that's also because a lot of sellers aren't really brand builders. There are, people that found opportunities and just sell products. But if you've come in with brand building in mind, you have a very specific buyer avatar that you're making products for, and you've got, brand personality, etc. Actual like hardcore branding. Make sure that you also put time and effort into your social media. Also, something crucial that a lot of people aren't doing, and you really, really should. And, many times it can be free and give you amazing results. The 10th mistakes that I'm seeing specifically older sellers doing is forgetting to check what's happening in their market. Now, I said that earlier, so I actually already said this, but I'll say it again if you missed it. A lot of the time, I'll say something different within this. A lot of the time, someone who's been selling a product on Amazon for a long time, let's just say you started selling a product in 2017 or 18, haven't gone and changed their images since starting. Even though in the last, couple of years from selling that product, sellers may have learned about what their buyers are, love the most about their product or hate the most about their product or are using their product for a totally different reason or whatever it may be. A lot of the time people don't redo or upgrade their own listings. And I don't get it. Sometimes a listing needs a makeover, especially if you started selling a product a long time ago. And a lot of the time, and I've been in these scenarios where a seasoned seller will come and say, hey, look, I'm at this point, I'm trying to get to here. And they'll, book a call with me and say, can you help me? And I look and I say, look, you started selling this back in the day when you didn't have a lot of competition, but so much competition has come in and their listings are so much better than yours. Maybe you have a lot of reviews and therefore you're selling a lot more, but maybe if you would have taken your listing up a notch, you'd be able to also sell even more. Look, on your reviews, it says they're using this product for this and this and this. Why not put a collage of people using the product in your listing and things like that? And it's something that a lot of people don't do. Just because you're selling well doesn't mean you can't be selling even better. So if you are a seasoned seller, go back and look at your listing and ask yourself, how can you improve your listing, right? What can you improve in your images? What can you improve in your A+ content? Maybe when you started, you didn't have a video and you're said to yourself, well, I'm selling so well for the last 3-4 years. I don't need a video. How much more could you sell if you did have a video, if you were doing video ads? And I'll say the same for PPC. If things weren't working for you 3 years ago, it doesn't mean they're not going to work for you now. So especially specifically for seasoned sellers, I would encourage you to go back and look at your listings again, look at what Amazon also has brought out to sellers since you started selling and today that you're not using, right? There's different things in brand registry, etc., that you have the ability to use them. Experiments, A/B testing, etc., from within Amazon, different modules that you have in A+ content, different things that you can do now with videos, Amazon posts, etc. Go back and have a look. All right, that was half an hour of 10 mistakes that I'm seeing Amazon sellers making in 2022. If we do a really, really quick recap and go through what they were, the first mistake was relying on old information. So watching, YouTube videos or podcasts from like 5 years ago is not relevant to today, most of it. Okay. Many things have changed, especially in the supply chain world and product development, etc. Many things have changed. Make sure that you're always listening to information that is applicable to now. The second thing was people that are still trying to sell Me Too products and are not differentiating. And I said, unless you have a lot of money for marketing, and I mean a lot of money, and etc., Me Too products are out the door now for 90% of the products or niches in my experience or opinion. The third thing was people are not analyzing the entire market and their competitors. And I spoke about how on the podcast and on my channel, I did recently a video on how you can use different tools to track your market. The fourth mistake was not leaving enough wiggle room for miscellaneous cost. And I explained how there's so much going on today that you really need to make sure that you have enough wiggle room. The fifth thing was not building relationships with your suppliers and service providers, because when you build relationships with your suppliers and with your service providers, when shit goes wrong, it can really help you. And I say that from experience. Also, when you build relationships, you find it a lot more easier to ask for things. In my experience anyway, when I need to come and speak to my supplier or negotiate on terms, etc., it's a lot easier for me because I have that relationship compared to if you keep jumping from different supplier to supplier just because you keep trying to bring your costs down. Instead, build a relationship, and over time, it'll save you more money or save you in sticky situations. The sixth mistake was people not knowing their numbers. I explained that in depth already. 7 was not knowing your product's manufacturing process, and I explained why it's so important today. Maybe it wasn't back in the day, but it's crucial in 2022. The 8th thing was relying on review companies like AppSally and FBA Reviews, and I mentioned that I know a lot of people who have been investigated by Amazon recently who've been using these companies. And then the next thing was not using influencers and social media. And the 10th was older sellers forgetting to recheck their listings, etc. That was the 10 mistakes that I'm seeing Amazon sellers making in 2022. And I hope that it brought you value in some way and that you check yourself and see maybe one of those mistakes that you're making or what can you fix and optimize in your business today. I will be back next week. Izabela will be back on Monday and Danny will be back on Tuesday, and I will see you all next Thursday. Look after yourself. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next week. Bye, everyone.